your Houston Texans on offense. Bobby Slowick is your offensive coordinator. The background we all know is from the 49ers. This offense is going to play about 60% in shotgun and then 40% underneath center. So there's still some principles. When we played the 49ers several weeks back, there's some very similar principles when you look at how they line up and play. They'll use the pistol formation. The pistol formation is they'll put the back, Joe Mixon, right behind C.J. Stroud. They like to do that, run the running back from behind the quarterback to try and make something happen. What's interesting about Joe Mixon is when you watch his tape, when you watch the tape of him playing, they try and run the ball to the edge. They're really big on trying to get the ball to the outside and stress you out that way. I found that when you watch Joe Mixon run after run after run, my system, I could say, just give me all those runs. And the next thing you know, they're all going left and they're all having their productive runs, successful runs. He's running to the right on the outside and he's not having successful runs. So I'm kind of debating if Eric Kendricks asked me a scouting report, I'm not going to bring it up.
I think he'll ask you this time. Broaddus, what's your tip of the week?
But tip of the week, if Eric says, hey, smart A, you got a tip of the week, I'm like, yeah, Joe Mixon's going to be running to your right a lot in this game. So be ready. Be ready, Bet. He's a much more productive. He gets stopped and stuffed going to he's going to run to the left. He gets stopped and stuffed going to his right.
The Zoolander situation going on,
weird.
I think.
It's
Can't
weird,
turn right.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird thing, but they want to run the ball to the outside, and they want to do it with him, and it's mainly to the best side is to be the defense's right side.
Behind old Tunsil.
Yeah, well, Laramie Tunsil. And we'll get to this offensive line because
Not good.
I think there's some things that you can maybe take advantage of. Of course, 49ers and Texans are going to be very heavy motion teams. It's about 71% motion when you watch these guys play. They play the majority of their snaps in 12 personnel. That's going to be the one back and two tight ends. That's right around almost 40% that they're going to do that. The 49ers are a team that we talk about them, Dolphins, people like that, play a lot of heavy 12 personnel stuff. Cowboys have got to be ready for that as well because that's what they're going to do. One back, two tight ends. C.J. Stroud I think is a good passer, and he's a good passer in the regard of the intermediate stuff that he throws between 10 and 19 yards. You could see several of those passes. He feels really more comfortable doing that. He's got 6 touchdowns throwing the ball between 10 and 19 yards. And then if you look at their receivers, though, they've now, they're going to get back Nico Collins in this game.
That's huge.
And Nico is a big guy, 6'4", and he's in the 220 range. He's a big slant guy, so that's a big body guy. And then when you look at Tank Dell is kind of the smaller, but he runs the routes, the crossing routes. I was like, damn, there's another completion on a crossing route. 10 for 10 on targets and receptions from Tank Dell and C.J. Stroud running crossing routes. Dallas has had their share of problems on defense dealing with these teams. Remember what happened in Detroit. Places like that.
Don't make me remember that.
Yeah, well, that's
tried to flush it.
The crossing route stuff there with Tank Dell, but Nico Collins is, like I say, the slant, some go stuff with him.
I mean, he's been one of the most explosive receivers in the league this year. When he was playing,
when he was healthy,
chunk gain after chunk gain.
Yep, yeah, absolutely right about that. The Cowboys now. This is where I think Dallas might have a little bit of an advantage. I went back and watched every sack that opponents had against the Houston Texans.
I feel like that would be a lot of sacks. I feel like they give up a ton.
Yeah. It was like over 30, I think it was 35 that I watched, 35 plays that I watched that were every sack back to back to back from the start of the season until the Detroit game.
Just a sack compilation.
Yeah. The thing that I noticed is that Shaq Mason, the right guard, is the one guy that seems to have the most problems with movement. And we've seen the Cowboys when they have problems with pressure, what is it's line twist games and stuff like that.
Oh,
right?
when the Cowboys offensive line,
they have the twist problems. The Texans have a very similar problem, but they've also got some problems too with Tunsil at tackle and Howard at tackle. Howard, the right tackle, he plays really soft, is what he does. So I've seen edges take him back, beat him, and then win in the pocket, because what happens, C.J. Stroud wants to go forward, and he will run himself into some sacks. He will move himself into an area where he gets trapped, and they're able to get him to the ground. So, with, like I say, you press him and push him forward. But another thing I noticed, like I say, with Shaq Mason at guard, he has problems, like I say, with the movement. Him and the center, Juice Shrugs, is his name. And when they get together, the center and the right guard, they have problems sorting things out. I watched the Green Bay game because I was curious about it. Green Bay ran. Remember last week what Mike Zimmer did to get pressure on Philadelphia? What'd he do? You remember what the look that he gave Philadelphia in that game?
He crowded the line of scrimmage.
Double A gap.
Yeah.
We talked about the double A gap where you put the linebackers. You put in Mike's case, he put 3 linebackers really because he used Overshown, Leofau, and Kendricks all over the center. What if you watch the Green Bay game? And Green Bay got a lot of pressure on the Texans this way with that exact same configuration. What they did was they would take one of the linebackers and run him into the center or the guard and then run a twist behind it. So you get a penetrator and then a guy behind, and the space opened up. They couldn't get over. They didn't sort that out very well at all with the way every time that somebody does something with middle pressure and gives them a middle pressure look, it affects how this team plays. So there's my hope that last week that Zimmer came up with the idea of like, okay, let's attack the Eagles this way. Let's get Overshown on the field as a rusher. Poor man's Micah Parsons. Damn, could have had 3 sacks, in the game and by the first half.
Yeah.
Just with that look that they had. And I really was encouraged by how teams attack the middle of this Houston Texans offensive line and were able to get guys home. So that's what's going to need to be happening for the Cowboys, I think, in the game this week can you find a way to create some negative plays or just 0 runs with Joe Mixon? Being aware that he's going to run that ball to your right side. That's where he's had success. Left side, not so much. So just be ready for that. You're going to have to deal with Nico Collins on the slant. You're going to have to deal with Tank Dell on the crossing stuff. But attack the middle of this Texans offensive line. You might be able to create some situations like you did against the Philadelphia Eagles in the first half of that football game and get you some sacks. This guy's also put the ball on the ground a couple of times too when he got sacked, fumbles, pressure, stuff like that.
Well, his right tackle took the ball away from him the other night. Yeah. That was a weird one.
Very weird.
Old Titus Howard.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're in 3rd and long situations all the time. I mean, their average to go on 3rd down is 8.3 yards. That's second to last in the league.
Yeah.
So their early down stuff is awful. If you can clog up that run stuff, boom, now you're dialing up Overshown.
There you go. I just think if you could get these guys in some passing formations, that Dallas has found something, started to get a couple guys healthy. You saw what they were able to do with Overshown, Parsons together, Oso Digizua. Work some combination games inside and see if you can do some good that way.
Sounds like there's some hope in there. Thank you, Brian. I needed that.
Yeah, but tomorrow I'm going to talk about their defense, and I'm going to kill every bit of hope you have.
Okay, it'll be a full day back at work tomorrow, getting ready for Monday Night Football, Chief.
I mean, tomorrow, that's the hope for the people that just want to continue to lose.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is your hope.
Yeah. There's hope as well.
Yep.
Top 3 pick, number 1 overall pick. A lot of stuff still on the cards here, GBag Nation.